Well, global indices are in the mix, just like how they ended up last week. When you look at how indices or how US indices ended Friday, they were in the green on Friday. However, they were set for a weekly loss. That's the first weekly loss they made in the last 6 weeks. When you look at how Monday has opened up for US indices, inflation fears continues to weigh down on US indices as they close in marginally in or pretty much flat, I would say, but in the red in trade on Monday. In fact, investors are cautious ahead of earnings releases as well as the retail and home sales data, which is expected to trickle through on Tuesday. So investors probably just holding back for this data to come in before jumping in. And when you look at inflation, inflation continues to remain a concern. And some commentary from Fed presidents may throw some light on how the thinking is. So the Fed Richmond president, Mr. Thomas Barkin, spoke about how inflation or how he looks at inflation, where he said that the Fed will have to be patient and they won't hesitate if at all things go out of hand. They will do what is necessary if at all they are pushed to do so. However, he said that it's helpful for the Fed to be patient and to have a few more months to evaluate as to how the situation is playing out. Also, the Minneapolis president spoke about how the Fed shouldn't overreact to what is likely going to be only a temporary inflation or temporary spike in inflation. The Dow and the Nasdaq were both down around 4 basis points in trade, again absolutely flat there on Monday, and the S&P 500 too was pretty much flat. In fact, down just 0.05 points. So very fractional in terms of how flat the S&P 500 was. When you look at European markets as well, European markets closed slightly higher, with the Pan-European Stock 600 index closing just above 0.33% in trade, with retail and utility stocks climbing a bit. When you look at Asia as well, Asian indices started Tuesday absolutely mixed. The Nikkei was flat in early trade today. The ASX 200 was down around 0.5% in early trade, and the Kospi is up around 0.1% in early trade. The SGX Nifty futures, which closed around 4 basis points higher in trade yesterday, is now 0.3% higher. So good positive cues for Indian indices when you look at this, the SGX Nifty. In terms of commodities, the London Metal Index was down around just below 1%, with aluminium down over 1.5%. Oil has been mixed with questions over demand and supply, and oil is just below the $81 a barrel mark in early trade today, and gold is at $1,867 an ounce despite an interest or yield spiking. Bond yields have spiked. So despite that, the gold has remained solid at $1,867 an ounce. Talking about bond yields, treasury yields start the week higher. Treasury yields, the 10-year yield is now at 1.6%, the US 10-year treasury yield. And the dollar index too has gone up along with it, up around 0.3% yesterday, and is absolutely flat, around 5 basis points up even in early trade today. Bitcoin has fallen to the $62,000 mark, and that's a roundup of how the trade is set up for this Tuesday morning.